Hello friends, welcome back in this video session of pharmaceutical analysis. In today's video session, we will be discussing about a very important method, that is difference spectroscopic method. If you are not aware, let me tell you, this method is used very widely even nowadays, and we can find several publications or papers on this method for developing or estimating the quantity of particular drug in a given formulation. So this is also one of the multi-component method by UV visible spectroscopy. We have already seen the simultaneous equation method and absorbance ratio method in the previous videos. So let's begin with the session. So what is the principle behind this difference spectroscopic method? So here we can increase the selectivity and accuracy of spectrophotometric analysis of sample containing absorbing interference may be markedly improved by this particular technique. So what we can do, we can increase the selectivity of our method. Okay, so let's say you have a sample, and this sample contains some analyte which you want to estimate, which you want to quantify. Now this analyte is UV active, okay, so it will absorb the light and it will give some absorbance, but along with the analyte it has some impurities. Now let's say I am terming these impurities as Z. So these are the impurities, or we refer it as the interference, and they are also causing the absorbance. So what absorbance I get it on the instrument as capital A, this absorbance is not only because of the analyte, but it is also because of the irrelevant substances or the interference or the impurities. So I am getting an summative or additive absorbance, which I am getting here. Let's say I am getting an absorbance of 0.900. So this absorbance is not only because of the analyte, but it is also because of the Z. And if you take this absorbance and if you calculate the percentage purity, that percentage purity is not accurate. Okay, so that percentage purity we refer it as inaccurate. So by utilizing this method, we can remove the absorbance of these interference, and then whatever absorbance I am getting, that is the absorbance only because of the analyte. Okay, so obviously if your method is selective only with respect to the analyte, definitely it will increase the accuracy of the method, okay, and decrease the absorbance of the interference. So this is the main advantage of difference spectroscopic method. So what we do in this method, the essential feature of this method is we use a difference in absorbance. If you remember, in all other multi-component methods, the absorbance what we refer, it was a simple absorbance, but in this case we are using a delta A. Delta represents the difference in absorbance. Okay, so this method is also referred as difference in absorbance method. Now what we do in this method, we take our sample and we prepare the solution of that sample in two different solutions. Okay, and the concentration of our sample which is prepared in two different solutions is exactly same, and that's why we refer it as two equimolar solution of analyte in same chemical form having different spectral characteristic. Okay, so what are the ways to get that, we'll discuss in the coming slides. So what we usually do it here, let's say I am recording a difference in absorbance of my sample. In sample I have an analyte, okay, and I have the interference, that are the impurities which are also causing the absorbance. So they both are present in the sample. So what I will do, I will prepare my sample in the alkaline pH, also I will prepare my sample in the acidic pH, and in both solution the concentration of sample is equal. Okay, I am making equimolar solutions, and then what I will do, one of that will be giving a higher absorbance and the other will be giving a relatively lower absorbance. So I can get a positive delta A, that is a difference in absorbance, and this difference in absorbance will be considered for calculation. So what happens here, we have to do the changes in our analyte in such a way that it should be reproducible, and what will happen, the change in the pH. For example, I can change the pH. So here I am dissolving my sample in the alkaline pH. So what will happen? If I am dissolving my sample in the alkaline pH, it may get ionized if the drug is acidic. Okay, so acidic drug will get ionized in alkaline pH and it may show a greater absorbance. Okay, but in case of acidic pH, because the drug is acidic, it will remain unionized and it will lower down the absorbance. Okay, accordingly. But the change in pH does not have any effect on the absorbance of these impurities. It remains as it is. Okay, so when I am taking a delta A, what will happen? This Z will get cancelled out. Okay, for example, I will tell you, let's say my drug is acidic. Okay, so if this acidic drug I am dissolving in an alkaline pH, what will happen? It will undergo the ionization. Okay, it undergoes the ionization. Now after ionization, what will happen? It will show a bathochromic shift. It will show a hyperchromic shift. What is bathochromic shift? It will shift its absorption maxima from the actual wavelength to a longer wavelength. And hyperchromic shift, it will increase its absorbance. Okay, the A will increase. So that kind of effect will be observed if you are dissolving acidic drug into an alkaline pH, and this happens because of the ionization. Now let's say my drug in the alkaline pH is having an absorbance A of 0.9 and same drug having an absorbance in the acidic pH, let's say it is 0.5. Okay, now as I mentioned, my drug contains the impurities, we refer it as Z. So that means the 0.9 absorbance is not only because of my drug, but it is also because of the drug and the impurities. But because I have dissolved my drug sample into an alkaline pH, it has increased the absorbance, and in the acidic pH the absorbance is relatively lower. So let's say the 0.9, let's say we assume, let's say 0.8 is the actual absorbance of the analyte and 0.1 is the absorbance of my impurities present in the sample. Okay, and in case of this same drug of same concentration prepared in the acidic pH, so what will happen? 0.4 is the absorbance of your drug and 0.1 is the absorbance of your impurities, okay, or the interferents. So when I make a subtraction, what will happen? This 0.1 and this 0.1 will get cancelled out and I will get a delta A, and in this case the delta A is 0.4. So this is a difference in absorbance, and this absorbance what we have got, this is the absorbance only because of the analyte, and though the interferents were present in the sample, though they were absorbing, right, they have been markedly removed. Okay, their absorbance have been taken care and it has been removed, right? So this is why we need to have a difference in absorbance. Okay, so here Z are impurities or irrelevant substances. So to use this method, the sample what you have taken, it should fulfill certain criteria. So the first criteria here is you should be able to have or give a reproducible changes, and it can be induced in the spectra by addition of one or more reagents. And one of the simplest way to have a reproducible changes in the spectra, that is you can change the pH. Okay, so you can have an acidic pH and you can have an alkaline pH, and you will get definitely the reproducible changes in the sample. Okay, then absorbance of interfering substance should not be altered by any reagent. We have seen the Z in the previous slide. I had told you 0.9, in that 0.1 was the absorbance of the Z in alkaline. Similarly, in case of acidic, 0.1 was the absorbance of Z in the acidic. So by any way your absorbance of interfering substance or impurities, they are not going to change, it remains constant. Okay, So only that it will get cancelled out. And this technique for altering the spectral properties of the analyte is the adjustment of the pH. There are of course other ways, but the simplest way you can adjust the pH and you can have a reproducible changes. Okay, so now we'll utilize this theory and we'll see how we can do the practical. So the aim of practical is assay of paracetamol tablet by difference spectroscopy. So we require our sample, that is paracetamol tablet, whose purity we want to find out. Then we need to have a reference standard, so we can prepare a standard solution of paracetamol having concentration 100 microgram per ml. Then you require certain glasswares like 50 ml volumetric flask and 10 ml volumetric flask for the dilution. You require a pipette to pipette out the standard and sample solution. You require an UV spectrophotometer. Alright. Now here we should know the label claim. Now this is the sample we have taken. This is a finished product formulation having a brand Paracif 500 from Cipla. So you can see the label claim which is written here. Each uncoated tablet contains paracetamol IP 500 mg. Okay, so this label claim we have to use for calculating the equivalent weight. I can see in the difference spectroscopy, if I record an spectrum of my drug in alkaline pH and in acidic pH, okay, what are the changes what I am going to observe? If you know the lambda max of paracetamol, what is the lambda max of paracetamol? It is 257 nanometer. So this is the lambda max of paracetamol. Now let's say I have prepared the paracetamol sample of concentration 1 microgram per ml in alkaline pH. Okay, in alkaline pH. So you can see the black spectra which I have drawn here. Okay, so this is an hypothetical spectra I have drawn manually for understanding. Okay, so let's say I have taken 1 microgram per ml concentration of paracetamol and this is dissolved in 0.1 normal NaOH solution. Okay, so if I am recording an spectra, the spectra is something like this. Okay, so you can easily make out the absorption maxima. You can intercept it on y-axis. Similarly, you can intercept it on this x-axis, and here you can say in case of paracetamol which is dissolved in alkaline pH, the lambda max was found to be 267 nanometer. Okay, and you have the same drug with same concentration 1 microgram per ml, but this time we have prepared it in 0.1 normal HCl, that is in acidic environment. Okay, so you can again make out the lambda max here, maximum absorbance here, and the wavelength here. You can intercept it. So the wavelength was found to be 246. Okay, and the actual lambda max is 257. So what is happening here with the paracetamol? So what happens with the paracetamol? You know the structure of paracetamol. It is a benzene ring, then you have a phenolic OH, then you have a NH, then C double bond O and CH3. So this is the structure of paracetamol, and you know this is a phenolic OH. Okay, so this phenolic OH can be easily ionizable. So the nature of the paracetamol is acidic. So if I take acidic drug and if I make its solution in the alkaline pH, what will happen? The ionization will happen. So the phenolic OH group will get ionized. Ionization of phenolic OH will happen in the alkaline solution on addition, okay, of the alkaline solution, and what will happen? It will generate an addition of non-bonded electrons. Okay, because ionization means what will happen? This H will remove, okay, and the oxygen will have additional electrons, non-bonded electrons, and these electrons now interact in the ring. Okay, so in the ring we have pi electrons, and when it interacts with the ring pi electron, it will produce a bathochromic shift. Okay, so what is happening here? The lambda max was 257, but when the drug has been dissolved in alkaline pH, because of the ionization of this phenolic OH, it is shifting from 257. Okay, what has happened? From 257 it has shifted to 267. So we are observing here and bathochromic shift. This is also referred as red shift, right? If you remember the theoretical aspects of UV. And even what has happened, it has increased the absorbance. We refer it as a hyperchromic shift. Hyperchromic shift has also been observed. Okay, whereas in case of acidic pH, you can see the absorbance is not as that of what we can see in the alkaline pH, okay, or the normal pH, and even the lambda max has been shifted towards the shorter wavelength, because acidic drug will remain unionized in the acidic pH. Okay, so that is all about this particular graph which we wanted to discuss here. Now we'll move ahead. We'll see how we can perform this experiment. So first you need to prepare a standard solution of the paracetamol. You have to take a standard paracetamol or reference standard of paracetamol, and you should prepare the dilution of 100 microgram per ml. Okay, now from this standard solution of paracetamol, which is kept in the volumetric flask, so this is a standard solution of paracetamol having concentration 100 micrograms per ml. From this, what you can do, you can pipette out. From this you can pipette out exactly 1.0 ml with the pipette and make up the volume to get 10 ml with 0.1 normal HCl. So we are making a solution in the acidic pH. So what we have done, we have pipetted out 1 ml. So 1 ml contains 100 micrograms and now they are present in 10 ml. So the concentration here, it will be 100 micrograms per 10 ml. That means it will be 10 micrograms per ml. So that is the concentration of this particular dilution. Now we will move further, and from this flask, after mixing properly, again we will pipette out 1.0 ml exactly and will dilute again with 0.1 normal HCl. Okay, so again the final volume is 10 ml. 1 ml contains 10 microgram. 10 micrograms are present in 10 ml. So the concentration here, it will be 1 microgram per ml. Okay, so this is the concentration of our final dilution of standard paracetamol prepared in acidic pH. Now you can name this as flask A. Okay, and now exactly in the same way we can prepare the dilution of standard paracetamol in alkaline pH. Okay, you have to pipette out 1 ml and dilute to 10 ml, then again pipette out from this 1 ml and dilute to 10 ml with 0.1 normal NaOH. So you can name this flask as flask B, and now this also contains a standard paracetamol of concentration 1 microgram per ml. Now what you have to do, if you have a double beam spectrophotometer, you know there are two cuvettes. One cuvette is usually used for sample and one cuvette usually used for blank or the reference. So here our drug is acidic, it is getting ionized in alkaline pH and having higher absorbance in the alkaline pH. So what I will do, the solution B, this one, I will keep here in the sample cuvette, and the solution A, which I have prepared in acidic pH, I will keep in this reference cell. And because you have a double beam spectrophotometer, the beam which is coming, it will be splitted into a equal intensity, and one beam is passing through the sample and one beam is passing through the reference, and instrument automatically have an calculation and it will give the absorbance, and that absorbance we refer it as a delta A, that is a difference in absorbance of your standard. So this is how you can record delta A of standard solution. So you will get certain values which you can note down here. Okay, I hope you understood about the standard solution. Now we need to prepare a solution of sample whose purity we want to find out. So here our sample is a formulation, it is a paracetamol tablet. So usually what we do, same protocol we have to follow. We have to take a representative sample of 20 tablets. We should note down the weight of 20 tablets. Let's say in this case it was found to be 11.812 grams. From weight of 20 tablets we can easily find out the weight of one tablet or the average weight of tablet. Now here in this case it was found to be 0.5906 grams. In other words, we can convert it into milligrams, that will be 590.6 mg. Now in the procedure we have to take the powder containing 50 mg of the drug. Okay, so you can do this cross multiplication. You know the weight of one tablet, that is 590.6 mg. It is ideally containing 500 mg of the paracetamol. So for taking 50 mg of the paracetamol, how much powder you should weigh from this triturate. Okay, so you can do this simple calculation. It will come around 59.06 mg. So if you are taking this much powder, this powder contains theoretically or as per the label claim 50 mg of the paracetamol. Okay, so you weigh this much mg of your tablet triturate and transfer with the funnel to this volumetric flask of capacity 50 ml. Okay, then add 25 ml of methanol and you have to shake this flask. After shaking, you can make up the volume to produce 50 ml. Okay, so this is a 50 ml volumetric flask. So you can dilute with the 50 ml to get final volume 50 ml. Okay, and after that, once you have thoroughly mixed, you can filter that and use the filtrate. Okay, so here the concentration of this particular flask will be how much drug theoretically is present in this 50 mg. So 50 mg is present per 50 ml, so the concentration will be 1 mg per ml, right? In other words, we can convert mg into micrograms. So 1 mg is equivalent to 1000 micrograms, right? So I can write 1000 micrograms per ml is the concentration of this particular flask. Now I will proceed for further dilutions. Now from this flask I will again pipette out 1.0 ml into this 10 ml volumetric flask and I will make up the volume with 0.1 normal HCl. Alright. So what will be the concentration here? We have taken 1000 micrograms. 1000 micrograms are present in 10 ml. So per ml it will be how much? It will be 100 micrograms per ml. Alright. Now again you can pipette out, you can mix this well and pipette out 1 ml here and make up the volume to produce 10 ml. So what will be the concentration? Again 10 times dilution you have done. So it will be 10 micrograms per ml, right? Now again you can do the third dilution because you have to take the equimolar concentration, right? So you know in case of standard you have used 1 microgram. So here also we'll use 1 microgram. So here again you can pipette out 1 ml and dilute to 10 ml. So here it will be 1 microgram per ml, that is the final concentration. So you can term this as C, okay, and exactly in a same way you can also prepare the dilutions for your sample in the alkaline pH, okay, like this. So again 1 ml from this diluting to 10 ml, again 1 ml from this and diluting to 10 ml. So this will be 1 microgram per ml of your sample paracetamol in alkaline pH. Now you can name this as capital D. Okay, so again what you have to do, you have a sample cuvette and you have a reference cuvette. In sample cuvette you can keep your alkaline solution, that is solution D, and in reference cuvette you can keep your solution D and then record the absorbance. So whatever delta A you are getting, that will be a delta A for your sample and that is considered as difference in absorbance. Alright. Okay. So you can record those observations. Now let's say for our understanding we are taking and difference absorbance for standard, delta A for standard was 0.0298, and similarly we have also observed the delta A for sample, and that was 0.0287. Okay, now we got this. Now how to proceed for the calculations? Now you know, for our standard solution the delta A of standard was 0.0298. now this we can substitute in our Beer-Lambert's law. You know what is Beer-Lambert's law? Absorbance is equals to the absorptivity into path length into concentration. Now in this case we have a delta A. Okay, so the absorptivity we can refer it as a delta small a into B into C. Okay, now delta A we know, we can substitute those values. 0.0298 is equal to delta A we need to find out, that is the absorptivity. Then path length in our instrument what we have used for recording this absorbance was 1 centimeter, and the concentration of solution whose absorbance was recorded, we know it was 1 microgram. Okay, so we can find out a delta A because it is 1 here and here, the delta A will remain same, it will be 0.0298. so this is the absorptivity, right? This is the absorptivity for our standard. Okay, now what we can do, we have the difference in absorbance for our sample. Okay, so we can do the calculations. Now here we can again use our Beer-Lambert's law. Delta A is equal to delta small a into B into C. So delta A we found, that is 0.0287. then absorptivity just now we have calculated, it was found to be 0.0298. B we know it is 1 centimeter, and C, that is the concentration of sample, we need to find out. Okay, so we can rearrange this and we can find out what is the value of C. So this will be 0.0287 divided by 0.0298 into 1. It doesn't make any difference. So if you solve this, you will get the concentration here, that is 0.9631. Okay, so what will be the unit here? Obviously, as we have taken the concentration for calculating the standard absorptivity in micrograms, so this will be also micrograms per ml. Now if you remember, the absorbance of this sample we have taken, that was in the solution of C and D, but before that we have done so many dilutions. So this concentration, so this is a concentration of paracetamol you found in the final diluted solution which you had taken for recording an absorbance, but we want the concentration of paracetamol in one tablet. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to find out the dilution factor. We have to find out the dilution factor. Okay, so how to calculate the dilution factor? You know, we have taken powder equivalent to 50 mg and that we have diluted to 50 ml. So the first dilution we made, that is 50 ml. Okay, you can see the back slides and you can get an idea about that. Then what we have done, after that we have done 3 dilutions, right? 1 ml from 50 ml diluted to 10 ml, again from that 1 ml to 10 ml, 1 ml to 10 ml. So 10 times we have diluted there. Okay, so this is a dilution factor. If you solve this, it will be 50,000 times. That means the original sample from the tablet triturate was diluted 50,000 times to obey the Beer-Lambert's law, because you know the Beer-Lambert's law obeyed only in the dilute solution, right? So to do that, the original sample was diluted 50 times. So if I multiply my concentration, what I obtain here, with the dilution factor, I will get the concentration of my drug in the sample which I have used for the dilution. So what I will do for getting that concentration, I will write here 0.9631 multiplied by 50,000. Okay, so I will get here the value that will be 48155 and again the unit will be microgram per ml. Okay, so this we can convert into milligrams by dividing this by 1000. So it will be 48.155 milligrams, okay, per ml. Okay, so that is the concentration we are getting. So how much powder we have taken? If you remember, we have taken 59.06 mg powder, that is a tablet traturate, and theoretically it was found to contain 50 mg of the drug. And how much practically we obtain? Practically we obtain 48.155 mg of paracetamol. Are you getting that? Yes. Now we want in one tablet how much paracetamol is present. So you know the average weight of one tablet which we have taken, it was 590.6 mg. So it will contain x mg of paracetamol. So we can do a cross multiplication, right? So what will be x here? X is equal to 48.155 multiplied by 590.6 divided by 59.06. So that will be the x. So 590.6 mg of the powdered tablet will contain, x will be 481.55 mg. That means one tablet is containing this much mg of paracetamol. Okay, now this we have to report, because it is assay, we have to express our results in terms of percentage. So you know the label claim, if a tablet is containing 500 mg, we refer it as a 100% pure. Now practically how much you got? You got 481.55 mg. So that will correspond to x percentage. You can find out the x here, and by calculation the x will be coming around 96.31%. Okay, so this is your final result which you can put in this. The percentage content of paracetamol in a given tablet was found to be 96.31%, and because it is a tablet, don't forget to express the concentration in W by V. Okay, so it is 96.31% W by V. That will be your final answer. Okay, so hope you have understood this concept of difference spectroscopy. If you have any doubt related to this, do comment and ask in the chat box. Thank you for watching this video.